This video is for educational and entertainment use only. The views in this video do not necessarily represent the views or life of Marlon Dixon. Welcome back to the Duffle LO the Sit Down channel. And last episode, we talked about the U.S. and withdrawing the troops. So this episode, we're going to talk about the weapons part of that. So I'm going to play the video for you guys again, and then we're going to get to the weapons article. So let me share my screen. There we go. And here is the video. Listen closely.
And it makes a big difference to tell the American people the truth about what our options are in ending this war. If tomorrow the order goes out from I'm President of the United States, I issue an order, end the war today, begin to withdraw all American troops. It will take a year to get the American troops out. You hear me now? That's the truth. It will take a year to get them physically out. Now, if you leave all the equipment behind, you might be able to do it in 7 months. And you leave those billions of dollars of weapons behind, I promise they're going to be used against your grandchild and mine someday. So
now, y'all heard that. Now, here we go. What happened with the weapons? This what happened. So New York Times reporting what they say, for sale now. U.S. supply weapons in Afghan gun shops. The Taliban seized troves of American weapons and vehicles from surrendering Afghan soldiers. Now gun dealers are doing a brisk business. They selling the U.S. weapons in Afghanistan at their gun shops. Look at this. Now this from a few months ago, so let's get into the article. In the chaos of the American military withdrawal and the Taliban takeover this summer, thousands of American-made weapons and tons of military equipment were seized by the militants as government military bases surrendered or were overrun. 2 words, you see that? The bases were surrendered or overrun, which means they coming and y'all, they getting out of there. They getting out of there. Or they, you know what, y'all could just have it. Y'all could just have it. So with the Taliban in power, more American weapons and military accessories are now being openly sold in shops by Afghan gun dealers who paid government soldiers and Taliban fighters for guns, ammunition, and other material, according to weapons dealer in Kandahar province in southern Afghanistan. So they left all that over there. So now they selling them to the shops. So because the U.S. left the weapons over there, they selling the weapons to the shops, getting the money. So they just taking the weapons, transferring them and getting money for literally free. That's literally how it is. So it's like they making money from it. In interviews, 3 weapons dealers in Kandahar said that dozens of Afghans have set up weapon shops in Afghanistan south, selling American-made pistols, rifles, grenades, binoculars, and night vision goggles. The equipment was originally provided to the Afghan security forces under the U.S. training and assistance program that cost American taxpayers more than $83 billion through 2 decades of war. So the American taxpayers are going to foot this bill. We've already been footing the bill and still going to foot the bill because of the inflation and because of the taxes and all this stuff that's been rising during this war. And they just gave them the weapons. If it was that, sis, and y'all was gonna sell the weapons, y'all just could have gave the weapons to the gun shops and then y'all got the money for it, and then could have gave some of that back to the taxpayers or lowered taxes and used that money to do something rather than just giving it away. But it's my theory. So during the insurgency, the Taliban eagerly sought out American supplied weapons and gear. So they went looking for this. So let me scratch my head real quick. Superpower, high technology weapons, most sophisticated technology weapons versus a country or a sect of a country that doesn't have so many sophisticated weapons as you guys. But you wonder why they sought after these weapons. They want them good weapons. That's what they wanted. And the ones that they don't want, we're gonna sell, and the ones that we do want, we're gonna keep. Maybe re-engineer them or something. But now much of that weaponry is being sold to Afghan entrepreneurs because Taliban demand has eased with the end of combat. The gun merchants say that Many gun dealers have smuggled the weapons to Pakistan, where demand for American-made weapons is strong. So now the whole Middle East over there gonna have American-made weapons. They smuggling them, taking them, and doing stuff. Look, see how they sitting on the carpet with the gun? Now look at that. They got scope on that everything. Look at that. That thing look clean. The only thing dirty on that is the clip. Everything else is clean. The loss of tens of millions of dollars in American-made weapons and gear is yet another costly consequence of the failed 20-year mission to Afghanistan. It ended in chaos and upheaval when the Taliban seized Kabul on August 15th after crushing an Afghan military built, trained, and funded by the U.S. So y'all seen in the clip in the beginning of this, what Biden ended up saying was, we'll be able to get the troops out faster if we just left the weapons. As you've seen in the beginning of this article, it says either surrendered or overrun. And as you can see right here, it says they seized Kabul right here. They seized Kabul on August 15th after crushing an Afghan military built, trained, and funded by the U.S. So they crushed the military that the taxpayers in the U.S. paid for. Totally crushed it. Over the years, the United States provided the Afghan military with a huge array of arms and vehicles, including M4 carbines, rockets, A-29 light attack aircrafts, Humvees, and copious ammunition for assault rifles and machine guns, according to a recent report by the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction. For the 2 previous fiscal years ending in June, the amount spent on Afghan military totaled $2.6 billion. You see, they crushed them right here easily. So it really wasn't nothing. But we spent $2.6 billion on them, and then they got crushed, and now the U.S. taxpayers gonna have to foot that bill. It's interesting, guys. The Pentagon on Monday acknowledged that a large number of American supply arms remain in Afghanistan. These are not old weapons. These are not old. Look at that. These are not old weapons. These are new technology, brand new weapons. These are brand new. Since 2005, the U.S. military has provided the Afghan National Defense and Security Forces with many thousands of small arms, ranging from pistols to medium machine guns, Major Rob Ludwig, a Defense Department spokesman, said in a statement to the Times. Thousands of small arms. Now, when they say thousands, they ain't say 100,000. When they say thousands, they can mean 90,000. That's still a lot of thousands. So you got to understand that, like they got a lot of guns over there, now. After the Afghan government's collapse in August, Major Ludwig said, "We recognize that large numbers of these weapons are probably now in Taliban's hands." In congressional testimony last week, Defense Secretary Lloyd J. Austin said that more sophisticated weaponry that American troops were using in Afghanistan was removed when the last forces left in late August. So they took the most sophisticated stuff, but they left some of that. Advanced weaponry provided to the Afghan security forces, such as helicopters and airplanes, were disabled before the Americans left, Pentagon officials said. So they left all the helicopters and all that stuff, but they disabled them. But what happened is although they disabled, they still can use the parts to, do whatever they want to with the parts. So look at this right here. You see them in plastic. When you see all this stuff in plastic, that's all brand new. That's all brand new, broken down. So the American-made rifle parts left behind by the foreign U.S. forces at the international airport in Kabul in August. So they just left them, all brand new weapons. They just left them. But the Taliban denied that any of those weapons were hitting the market. In an interview with the New York Times, the Taliban spokesman Bilal Karami said that weapons were not for sale. "I totally denied this. Our fighters cannot be that careless," he said. "Even a single person cannot sell a bullet in a market or smuggle it." So I guess they trying to not allow their people to sell the weapons to saturate their country with all these weapons, or the area of the country. He added that American-made weapons previously captured during the war are all listed, verified, and are all saved and secured under the Islamic Emirate for the future army. The Taliban refer to their government as the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. So they got their own government. That's what they saying that. So they gonna get ready to pull out their own little piece of land, and they gonna government themselves right there, and they saving all these weapons for their future army, so that way they can defend themselves. Other Taliban figures, however, have confirmed that a big wave of American weapons has hit the market. So somebody is selling some. This summer, troves of U.S. supply weapons were either stolen and sold by Afghan security forces. Now listen to this. This summer, troves of U.S. supply weapons were either stolen and sold by Afghans. These were the ones that America trained and gave the weapons to. So why are they stealing and selling them? Or seized by the Taliban as they negotiated wholesale surrenders in which soldiers and police handed over such weapons and equipment in exchange for Taliban promises to spare their life. Bring us all the weapons or we gonna kill everybody over here. They brought all the weapons. Other times, uniforms, weapons, and gear were simply abandoned by Afghan soldiers and police as they deserted. Look, see, these are the type of weapons that they left over there. Stuff like this. Some soldiers and police sold their weapons and ammunition before they negotiated their surrenders. Weapons dealer would pay about $1,200 for a single U.S. service Beretta M9 handgun. The gun merchant said, far more than a soldier's monthly salary at a time when many police and soldiers were not being paid or resupplied with ammunition, food, or water. So they didn't even have the energy to really fight this war. And they weren't making enough money to really even fight the war, but they putting their life on the line. So they rather just sell their weapon for more than what they would make a month of putting their life on the line. I mean, hey, everybody got to do what they got to do in their interest. American M4 carbine sell for about $4,000, a dealer said, especially if equipped with a laser sight or underbarrel grenade launcher. In contrast, the Kalashnikov rifle sells for about $900, the dealer says, and a Russian-made rocket-propelled grenade launcher for about $1,100. A grenade launcher for $1,100? Pistols that NATO forces supplied to Afghan police officers sell for about $350. Almost all their transactions are in Pakistani rupees and in cash, the dealer said. They ain't trying to have none of that track. One gun merchant, Esmatullah, said he opened a shop in Kadar province roughly 8 months ago after the Taliban seized control of the immediate area. Before that, he said, he operated as a roving gun merchant, visiting government bases to buy weapons and ammunition from soldiers and police desperate for cash and fed up with the government in Kabul that they believed had abandoned them. So see, because they believed that they abandoned them, they didn't have that drive to really like put in the work. They like, man, look, we ain't getting paid, we ain't getting no food. They abandoned us. Look, hey, we're gonna sell these guns, so we're gonna at least make something. We used to work as a mobile team, he said. We would meet many government soldiers and officers to buy weapons from them. After that, we would take those weapons to the Taliban and sell it to them or to anyone who would give us a good. Oh my God, let's look at that. Let's read this again. Look at that. We used to work as a mobile team. We would meet many government soldiers and officers to buy weapons from them. After that, we would take those weapons to the Taliban and sell it to them. So you wonder how they having the same type of weapons. Because y'all ain't paying them to defend themselves. So okay, we're gonna sell these weapons, and that's how we're gonna make the money so we can defend ourselves. And then they sold them to the ops. This stuff is crazy. Look at all this. Crate, all bullets. Crates of bullets. Look at that. You put that on the back of a. Look at that. Already that right there. Like this is weaponry. I'm talking about chaos. Running, walking, riding, chaos. Separately, the Taliban permitted their fighters to sell some of the small arms they seized when bases surrendered or were overrun. The gun merchant said the rest of the confiscated weapons were handed over to the Taliban commanders whose fighters fired American-made M4 assault carbines and rode in American Humvees when they marched across the country this summer. So they stunned, like, yeah, we got their stuff. Bam, bam, bam. Today, the merchants say their customers are Afghan entrepreneurs and ordinary citizens. These Afghans are buying coveted American-made weapons either to resell in Pakistan for self-defense or to settle long-standing personal or tribal feuds. American-made weapons are in great demand as they work well and people know how to use them, said a second gun merchant in Kandahar, who spoke on condition of anonymity because he feared the Taliban would close his shop. Like, hey, what you doing? You know you're supposed to be doing that. The merchant said he had sold dozens of American-made pistols, rifles, ammunition, and two-way radios since opening his shop. So they opening up shops to sell these weapons. Like it's that much abundance of weapons over there that they are calling these people new entrepreneurs, that they're able to open up a shop to start selling weapons that the U.S. have left. That's how many weapons they left. A third gun merchant who asked not to be identified because the Taliban had warned him not to speak to the news media, said dealers had sold weapons as large as anti-aircraft guns to the Taliban this summer. Now he said he sold American-made M4s and 50 cal machine guns, as well as weapons manufactured by other nations, including rocket launchers. So they literally weaponed up, and they tell people don't even tell the news that you're selling us this stuff, because they don't want the news and the media to understand that the reason why they able to shoot it out with this force is because they using the same weapons as that force. So it's not like they have small weapons and then they have big weapons. No, they using the same American-made weapons that America is using against them. The first, I think that's the last. Yeah, this is right here. It's almost on. The first choice is American-made, even though it's a little more expensive than a Russian-made, the merchant said. Light weapons such as guns and pistols are in great demand as they are easy to transport and carry. Malou Basir Akan, a former Taliban commander who lives in Kandahar, said that he helped the militants negotiate surrenders of security forces in the province. The Taliban often sent village elders or other trusted figures to negotiate surrenders. The collapse of government bases left the area awash in American-made weapons. They got all the weapons over there. There are many shops of weapon smugglers roaming Kandahar these days, he said. These people have always been there to purchase weapons, particularly during this kind of transitional period where it is easy to buy new weapons. He said he recently introduced a Pakistani arms dealer to a gun merchant in Kandahar. He said the dealer told him he was seeking pistols, rifles, night vision goggles, ammunition, and other U.S. So they want all military grade weapons. They want all U.S. military grade weapons. They don't just want any type of weapon. They want the U.S. stuff purposely. Mr. Khan said the Pakistani dealer sells cars from a showroom in Pakistan, but the man's most lucrative business, he said, centers on selling American-made weapons bought in Afghanistan. And this is one of the planes, a damaged U.S. Black Hawk helicopter disabled by withdrawing U.S. forces. So they disabled everything. So none of this can work. So even though it can't work to where they can't do nothing with it, but they have all the parts right there. So you can literally like just anything that they disable, you could just fix, and then now you put it on a whole nother thing. So it's like, man, the stuff is crazy. Like, and it's crazy that he said that like a while back that's what happened if they left the weapons there. And as we can see, what happened when the weapons was left. So that's all I gotta say for this episode. Hopefully you guys learned something. And this was going on in the U.S. in 2022. We are fully withdrawing from over there in Afghanistan. And our soldiers have left a lot of weapons over there. And the U.S. citizens, taxpayers have paid for it. So that's all I gotta say for this video.
This video is for educational and entertainment use only. The views in this video do not necessarily represent the views or life of Marlon Dixon.